Before we get stuck into this week's brand new episode, I just want to say a very quick thank you to our sponsors, Alt Cult, Squidding Screen Printing, Bay City Pool Service, and Charming Range Soaps. Thank you for your support. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Hard Rock Show, and welcome to 2020. Yay. I'm Andrew.
Tim.
Nick.
Dave.
Brendan. The details at the bottom of the screen might have changed the year. We haven't changed the way we do shit around here, so that's going to change there. This week we're going to kick off the new year with our annual now tradition in January, which is to do torture episodes. The premise of this is to basically pick albums that the individual who's chosen them has to like it, and then the other ones are basically challenged to review it and see how broad our musical tastes can possibly go.
We're not friends.
We fail.
Yeah, we always fail. These are always some of the most entertaining things we ever fucking do as far as we're concerned. Hopefully you'll enjoy the ride as well. I think I said before, details are on the screen, so make sure you follow all the social media. Check out our website and all sort of stuff for other information we've got going on as well. All our old THRS radio shows are now being held as a library over there, hopefully, if everything's gone to plan. But without any further ado, Brendan, let's get the show on the road.
Well, I figured if we're all torturing each other, we might as well torture you. But we like to support local artists, so we're going to do that. This is The Wiggles with Fruit Salad.
Fucking
Yummy,
yes!
First cab off the rank is chosen by, and it's Billie Eilish with When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? 14 tracks of 42 minutes, a debut studio album from the American singer-songwriter, released March 2019 via Dark Room and Interscope. Produced by her brother Phineas O'Connell, who co-wrote most of the album. 6 singles have been released, and You Should See Me in a Crown, When the Party's Over, Bury a Friend, Wish You Were Gay, Bad Guy, and All the Good Girls Go to Hell. This album is pretty damn successful, peaking at number 1 in about 20 countries, including the US, UK and Australia. It has been certified 4 times platinum in Norway, 2 times platinum in the US, New Zealand and Mexico, Canada and Denmark, platinum in Australia, Italy, Poland and the UK, as well as gold in Austria, Belgium, France and Germany. Who's going first on this one?
Sure, let's do this.
All right.
I really thought I might actually like this because I'd heard a couple of Billie Eilish tracks and thought this is kind of interesting. She's got an interesting vocal technique and it was kind of atmospheric and cool. But fuck, did this get old real fucking fast. This just dragged for me on and on and on. The way it sounded, it didn't move enough for me. And as far as the lyrical content was concerned, this just turned into a 45-minute millennial fucking whinge. Did very, very little for me in the end. And I mean, what's it called? When I go to sleep, and yeah, that's appropriate.
When we go to sleep, where do we go? When we fall asleep, where do we go?
We go to sleep, I wouldn't know. Halfway through this album, I was sleeping. I was in a happier place. This wasn't great. I give it 3 out of 10. The highlights are Bad Guy, which is a cool song. A couple others were okay, but as an album, boring.
You know, guys, occasionally an album will come along and it'll make you question some of your life choices. I mean, I've spent 30 years listening to rock and metal and, good music in general, and I could have been listening to shit like this. Let's start with the vocals. I mean, sticking to a very close range, whispering in a barely audible tone, really helps to keep the element of mystery of what she's trying to say, I guess. So much you can barely make out a word of what she's apparently singing. And I guess that goes on with the so-called edgy lyrics, but I can't understand a fucking word she's saying. I had to Google what it was, so I checked out some lyrics, and this is where this really shines, okay? So you're a tough guy, like it really rough guy, just can't get enough guy, chest always so puffed guy. Songwriters have been struggling for years to come up with words that rhyme. Why bother? Just rhyme the same fucking word.
Duh.
Genius. Where's the Bloodhound gang?
Fucking hell. Musically, it's brilliant. I mean, there are insomniacs all over the world. They've been looking for a cure to go to sleep. This is perfect. Okay? And apparently she has Tourette's syndrome, which makes perfect sense. When I was listening to this, I was letting the profanities fly. She created this shit, so no wonder she has fucking Tourette's. And I also hear one of her songs is included in 13 Reasons Why. There's actually 13 songs in this album that are perfectly good fucking reasons why.
Well, my work here is done.
Gotta be succinct. Wrap it up.
I don't like this whole millennial versus boomers crap. Being Generation X, I'm kind of stuck in the middle. But with this, I really have to start with the boomers.
Okay, boomer.
At least now I understand why so many teens are popping pills. If they're listening to this dreary shit, they'd want something to pick them up. How this is considered alternative rock is beyond me. But I guess if you identify as alternative rock, then that must make it true. I'm sure I've triggered a whole bunch of people with this, but I don't give a fuck. I'm pretty straight up. The sky is blue, grass is green, up is up, down is down, a spade is a spade, and shit music is shit music regardless of who fucking creates it. In the bin.
Go on, Nick.
Oh, fuck, how to follow that? Right. I'm obviously the more mature person here.
Yeah, how's that going to work out?
I was
for us?
expecting to hate this, but I liked it. I've got to say.
Thank you, Nick.
See,
Fuck. Is this for real?
this is for real.
Wow.
I told you, I turned 45. Like, I'm a mature man now. My balls dropped on 45 in 1 year, Dave. Anyway,
I'm going to ask your wife about that.
So, did Nick's balls
I actually do like the light and shade on this album. The music itself, on a lot of tracks is moody.
Where was the light?
What was this?
Well, look, the thing is, the music on this is pretty moody, like almost dirgy kind of effect,
Yes.
right? But then you get her girly voice over the top, right?
So
Which-
contrast.
yeah, which, I mean, I didn't mind that, because you're not expecting to hear it, right? The sound is creepy, but in a good way for me. And like I say, it's 100% not what I was expecting. When I saw this on the review list, I go, fucking great, I want to get the flame Billie Eilish, or Eilish, whatever the fuck she's called. Right? But I actually liked it. I like the bassline beats, and they for me, for what I was thinking, they take cues from 1990s horror movies.
Alright.
Scary, that's for sure.
Like the stand-up track for me was "You Should See Me in a Crown." That's a perfect example of the bass line just going underneath, like really dirgy kind of moody effect and stuff. I enjoyed it. In a THRS Crew, she's even sampled a dental drill in one of the songs, "Bury a Friend."
I'm sure she's very plenty.
Hello, Mrs. Sweet. This album, it's dark as fuck, right? But it really got my attention because it's so different from what I was expecting. Right? I mean, I could have flamed it, but no, I actually did get into it.
Okay. Cool.
So, look, I really enjoyed it. Look, it's not that... This is the type of artist that everything nowadays sounds too generic.
Yeah,
Right?
it
Like
does
it or
stick
hate it
out.
or something like that. You need more of this kind of stuff.
Oh, please,
right?
no.
Well, maybe not this specific artist, but you don't need everyone sounding
You need
exactly the
something to
same
shake it
anymore.
up.
Right?
Yeah, and I do
so,
get that.
You know, look, I'd rather have more people like bloody Billie Eilish than fucking, I don't know, whatever the kids
Justin
listen to
Bieber.
nowadays. Yeah, well, yeah.
Post
all the
Malone.
generic stuff.
Well, apparently she did a song with Justin Bieber, didn't he?
Yeah. Look, I gave it 7 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't mind. That's, and look, like I said, I was ready to flame it. Standout tracks, You Should See Me in a Crown, Bad Guy, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, Dave, anything? And Bury a Friend.
Yeah, Justin Bieber did a guest vocal on
That's
re-release.
right.
I didn't think Justin could improve anything.
No,
he didn't.
No. Well,
It
now,
couldn't be worse.
Oh, fuck, it's definitely worse. It can be worse than this. Now, as Tim is the defender of this record, he's going to go last after I'm done. You get to go the final say on this. Now, I've not heard a second of this, not a moment of this music, because I work for myself, obviously, and get to choose what I hear, and I have not heard a fucking moment of this until I put this on. With such a strong focus on vocal effects and the studio all at trickery, I'm not sure how this will go live. That would be interesting just to see how they would actually go close to pulling it off live. I'm not
Fucking awesome.
Yeah? Alright.
Legit.
Cool.
Like, check out like the unplugged stuff from Triple
Okay.
and all that.
Alright, well, I'll have to have a look then, I guess. It's just a curiosity. I'm not saying I'm a fan, it's just a curiosity point, because I want to see how the studio trickery translates to the live environment. You read up on this and they mention things like industrial music. There is not a fucking scrape of this at all. This is very, very vocal-centric and deservedly so. She does have a nice voice and she has really good control of it. The interesting element here is in the lyrics. It's pretty fucking dark. This is a pop album for the current generation, so for all of us that don't get what the kids are going through, this is probably the album for them to vent to. I don't understand it. It makes no fucking sense to me. But I'm an old or bunt.
Mr. Save.
Hi, Fred.
And we're off to a flying start. So for me, it was.
Just find your notes.
Yeah, well, I found my notes, but I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here defending it, but it was at least different, and that's where I get what you're saying about it. It's at least doing something different in this, in how it stands out, because you don't get pop music like this until now, and I'm wondering
There's
what's
a
going to happen
reason for that.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering what's going to happen for pop music after this, because this is already like how this is winning fucking rock awards is beyond me. I get the attitude side of it perhaps, but that's just diluting the whole fucking concept of rock for mine. But with it being such an influential album so early on, I'm wondering what this will do to the genre in the future. And if it does shake things up, if it's a catalyst kind of point to shake up what pop music could be, then it might be a good thing in the end.
That's drawing a long bow.
I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. All right.
I wasn't.
I normally like this is heavily produced, like I said before. I normally like things like the little studio moments that they put in there, but on this one it's contrived. There's even fucking canned laughter on this thing. That's annoying.
That was Dave.
And my focus on this went to the production big time because that was what there was for me to get into on this. Her vocal is nice. There's a heap of layering stuff to it and all that stuff. The control is there, but just the production was the instrument on this record. Track 8 can go straight in the bin. It's tune-up vocals with a fucking ukulele. That can fuck off. Some of this is interesting. Most of it's outright annoying. It'll probably pollute my Spotify algorithm for far longer than I want it to. Also, there are too many references on this in lyrics to Billie. Like, we don't know who the fuck we're listening to. It says Billie a lot in this record. I know it's supposed to be trying to be a catch cry, but it's too fucking much. The more traditionally structured stuff I didn't mind on this. This does stretch things too far overall, and by the time I'm back into I'm into the back half of the album, I'm waiting for this whole fucking thing to end. If you want to check out a different kind of pop, then give it a go. It'll be interesting to see how many clones this spawns, like I said, in the industry. Like, I understand there's a point of difference, and so that makes it intriguing, but it's not something I'm going to go back to. I admire her vocal talent and how it was used. That was well done. It's an odd album that I'm pretty much unsure of how to feel about because I don't feel like I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I'm not going to bin it because there was elements in there that was curious, and so that makes me a bit confused. But I give it a 4 out of 10. I picked When the Party's Over and Wish You Were Gay. There you go.
You're extra as fuck. Alright, so before I get going, I want you all to set your recording devices. If you're watching this on the internet, screen recording, DVR, whatever. Because I'm about to say the most hipster thing that's ever been said on the Hard Rock Show.
Oh, here we go.
You ready?
Yeah, come on.
I've been a fan of Billie Eilish since her first EP.
Wow.
When was that? 20 minutes ago?
Last year. So how this album really got my attention? I actually heard it like within the first week of it coming out.
I've listened to this one for a little while.
Yeah.
You mentioned it before.
Listened to it. I thought it was pretty good. I liked the darker elements, but I wanted there to be more of it. Basically what happened was I was speaking to a friend of mine in Brisbane. Shout out to Nathan, drummer for a math rock band Chief Weapons. How are you going? Moving on.
It's fucking a lot of love songs and dedications, mate.
But he's the one who talked me into it, and he said, look, don't listen to this album just on the surface. You've actually got to take it in and let it take you on that journey, because there are lighter elements to it and there are darker elements to it.
There is light and shade. I did
exactly,
get that, yeah.
And what this does tell in the end is this sort of slow descent, and as the album goes on, it gets darker and darker and darker. And you start off with Bad Guy, and then you slowly work your way down. You have your little points up, and then you get slowly going further down the spiral. But again, for me, that was my entry point to this, was again sort of taking that sort of the Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails, and then sort of taking that storyline and listening to it in that context, you know, kind of like a like an early 2000s Radiohead kind of thing, and then applying that. And once then I started to really get into it. The more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. And that would be my advice to everyone who listens to this album. Don't just listen to it as a pop album. You've got to actually pay attention to it and let it take you on that journey. I absolutely love this record.
Wow, cool.
Again, that's my justification for it.
No, that's cool. That's the point.
9 out of 10. You should see me in the crown. This is a fucking brilliant album. I love it.
Oh, without any further ado, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, scenes from memory, 12 tracks for 77 minutes, the fifth studio album of the American band, released October 1999 via Elektra, produced by Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci. 2 singles were released in Home and Through Her Eyes. The album peaked number 73 in the US, number 131 in the UK. This is the band's first album with Jordan Rudess on keyboards, and is the band's first concept album, the theme being a direct sequel to the song Metropolis Part 1, The Miracle and the Sleeper from the 1992 album Images and Words.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, I better go before these two splooge all over the set. I've always found Dream Theater to be a challenging listen. There's no doubting the talent in the band. We all know that. They're all incredible musicians, so we'll put that aside. They are amazing. Dream Theater is not an easy listen, but it's not supposed to be. It's kind of musicians' music. I get that. After seeing them live as well, like I was in awe for about 30 minutes and then bored shitless for the next 90. The album's a little bit like that, but I reckon this is probably the best Dream Theater album I've ever heard.
Okay, cool.
I really did get into it. The technical side was really awesome, and the melodic stuff is not as cheesy as some of their other stuff they've had in the past. I find when they sort of let the vocals go, they get a bit, let's say, European, into that sort of funny soaring place that I just find a bit sort of boring and hard. But I found this one a lot more accessible than a lot of their other albums. I actually quite enjoyed it. Everything sounds phenomenal.
Yep.
It's performed amazing. Yeah, I actually kind of liked it. I gave this 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty cool. The highlights for me was Scene 3, Part 2, Fatal Tragedy, or some bullshit like that. I don't know. Fucking Bach's Movement. Doesn't fucking matter. There was a bit there that I really liked, and it was called something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
There it is.
Go on, Nick.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. One word. Masterpiece. Here it is. Again, another first day buyer.
Is this the whole fucking page?
I'm not going to read the whole fucking thing.
It's almost as long as the album.
For me, this is the best Dream Theater album by a mile. I mean,
Okay.
people say Images and Words. The man next to me probably say that. But for me, I think this shit's all over it. And that's a big rap because everyone says Images and Words are a classic of the genre and stuff like that.
I think it's better than Images and
I think this is much better. Not only that, but it's up there with things like The Wall and Operation Mindcrime is probably my favourite concept album as well.
Okay.
The Dream Theater is often accused of, favouring, virtuosity over songwriting and stuff like that. Not on here. This is a collection of songs, right? Set to a concept as such. They haven't really sacrificed. You see them do it later on in their career and probably a little bit before. This is where it all gelled for them, as far as I was concerned. Songs flow seamlessly into each other as well, which is, as much as I love Dream Theater, almost as much as this man next to me, a lot of the albums are a little bit disjointed.
Yeah.
This one was an easy listen for me.
It makes sense.
Or an easier listen, I should say.
Yeah, definitely.
They were prog albums. It definitely has its softer moments, the ballads and stuff.
Yeah.
So look, if I was really going to nitpick this and find flaws in it, it's possibly those softer moments. But even that's not saying much because they actually serve the purpose pretty well.
I think they're important.
Yeah. Even though I love every track on the album, some of them are better than others. I mean, two of the real gems on here are the Overture 1928, I think I'm reading down, and the Dance of Eternity, which is still, to this day, probably many a fan's most favourite Dream Theater song. That probably Pull Me Under, that most people got into and stuff like that. And Metropolis, yeah. And both of those are instrumentals, and that's a big call for me because you guys know I hate instrumentals, right? But for me, they're probably the standout tracks on this album. Or up there, probably the best standalone song is Home, which I absolutely love. Heaviest song on the album, very, very cool Middle Eastern influence in it as well. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at this album and it all bloody worked well. Seeing what this album also marked was a tradition that Dream Theater would finish an album with one theme and start the next album with a continuation of that theme. I think they went up until Octavarium. So good thing. Yeah, so what I really loved is like how they're going to follow up the next album and just continuing that theme and so on like that. So, I mean, they had great foresight in doing that kind of stuff. One thing we didn't mention that, it's a concept album, but it's very loosely based on a 1991 movie called Dead Again with Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
The skeleton of the story is based on that. Yeah. What I'd love to see is this made into a proper movie. Because for me, the true test of a concept album is, would I want to watch a movie based on this? Yeah, this, 100% I would.
There are some student films on YouTube.
Right?
Yeah.
Got to check them out. So the answer for me is yes, story-wise, and not as an album, but story-wise, this is better than Mindcrime in terms of story. And for me, it engages me.
Yeah.
Not as an album, but just as a story. And that's the way I listen to it. I listen to it as a story, as a movie. Really, for me, only King Diamond can put it together a better story than this. Look, waffled enough. Perfect album, no flaws in it for me. Perfect, 10 out of 10. Standout tracks, all of them. But Home and Dance of Eternity and Strange Deja Vu.
I play drums, right? The first track on this album, there's a clicking clock, ticking clock, and then Labrie counts down from 10, ever so slightly out of time with the clock.
And that just got on you.
Got under my skin.
It's supposed
It's not
to
a
be
breed, it's a
that.
hypnotist.
It's supposed to be.
Okay. Look, again,
that
this,
annoyed you, but you got to Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish has some wonderful syncopation. Look, this is probably the best Dream Theater album as it's been covered. I think the thing is with this is that, again, while there are all those virtuoso moments, it's the non-virtuoso moments that are better than the rest of the Dream Theater catalogue.
Yeah.
I think this is Labree's best album as well. I mean, his vocals can be polarising, but they are polarising, but this is his least polarising performance.
Yeah. It's his safest one, yeah.
Again, probably suits his tone much more sitting in this range than other ranges, but again, that's probably a debate. It's long, it's a hard listen, it's supposed to be a hard listen, but for what it is very good. And I mean, if you're a Dream Theater fan, or if you're just a music fan or somebody who's a fan of composition, then you should probably check it out. I mean, but if you're looking for, 3 chords, then you're probably not going to, but again, it's Dream Theater, you already know that. 8 out of 10, Dance for Eternity is a highlight.
Cool. This starts off channeling like a bit of Pink Floyd and then gets stuck into the staccato prog that you kind of expect from this band. Some cool use of harmonies, and that aids in the storytelling a bit for mine as well. The female vocal in particular was a nice touch on this record. You got all the clinical tones, and that's why I've always struggled with this band, because it's always too clinical. I don't get enough warmth, feel and vibe from this band. But James' vocals are a tone as well that needs more warmth added to it. This is better than a lot of the other ones I've heard from him. It's not quite so sharp and cutting, but it still is a thing for mine. Performance is fuck. We know they can play, they can sing, they can do all those sorts of things. There's nothing to worry about there in the actual talent. And the composition is pretty good here too. They got the prog thing down, but this also had like the space, depth, a bit of groove and feel to come into this one. It's more easily accessible than most prog albums, especially from this band, are. And I've got to give a nod to the lyrics and the overall story. So between the lyrics, the story, the songwriting, the performances, it all actually serves the song and the album. There's no, there is some wankery, which I'll get to in a minute, but for the most part, this is actually well structured and it serves the purpose. Overall, the album flow is pretty good. The production isn't quite as warm as I would like, but it is better than a lot of the other ones. The beginning and the end of this album close the circle really nice. That's a good touch, and I liked the way it did start and end, like as a story as well.
Yep.
However, between Home and the Dance of Eternity, you've got a good 10 minutes or so of wankery that do nothing to advance this album whatsoever. I get that they're showing off and they can play, but it does nothing to serve the story. Yes. Nothing at all. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
What?
You'll get to it in a minute.
Okay. Alright, for me it did nothing, and that's where this band dead set fucking pisses me off, because they get too self-indulgent and it doesn't serve the album. And that's a shame for me, because I can tell the talent, I can tell those things and all those things, but the album is well executed, but that's a big chunk of time in an already long listen that just didn't need to be there. And so just put the fucking edit point. If it was a movie, if it was Avatar, you fucking cut half of it out. Like, that's the impression I get out of this. Just because you can just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing. If it's an album that if you've got the time and the patience for it, it'll reward you. But if you don't, then this is not what's going to change your mind. It's hard to casually listen to this one. But that's what I did enjoy. I gave it 7.5 out of 10. I picked Fatal Tragedy, Finally Free, and Beyond This Life as my standouts.
Yeah. As far as concept albums go, this is a fantastic story and it's really told really well. Music and lyrics help set the mood, pacing and dramatic effect. I've got 2 minutes, let me get through it. The story is set in the 20s, but it's an ageless story about a love triangle that goes bad, told through the use of hypnosis and past life's regression. It's perfect material for a prog metal band to tackle, especially a band that can perform so many different styles. The only problem with this album, especially now in the age of streaming, is it might be a bit hard to know what character the lyrics are referring to at what time. In the lyric sheet and on record, the past section's in italics, and they've got character names in front of everything, and sometimes a present character.
I thought it was still pretty clear in the story.
It might be a bit unclear. But once you got the idea of what's happening, it's pretty easy. Yeah. And I don't think of another concept album that has a twist at the end that's perfectly executed like this.
That was well done.
Yeah,
it was very well done.
Clever.
The story was good.
Unlike The Astonishing, there's only a handful of characters in this, so James LeBrake has a great way of inflicting a different vocal style slightly to each character, where the fucking Astonishing had like 50 characters, which is too much. Yeah. The guest vocals of Teresa Thomas is fantastic, and probably 2 standouts in the album is Through Her Eyes and The Spirit Carries On. They've got really soulful, and not really you expect on a metal album, let alone a Dream Theater album.
Good counterpoint to Liberate.
Yeah, they had 50 it's so good live.
Okay.
Yeah, because she went on tour with them when they toured this album.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, it's so good. Petrucci's guitar playing on this album is perfect. We all know he can play, and he doesn't overplay when not necessary. He gets into the technical stuff when it serves the song and the story. There are some killer guitar shred moments, but they can be followed up with some really subtle melodic lines and some clean chords. The solo on The Spirit Carries On...
Dogs are twitching.
That solo on The Spirit Carries On, when he does that kind of jazzy stuff, and then he just holds that note at the end, he just squeezes everything out of it, that's got soul, man, and feel. Don't tell me they can't fucking play with that.
No one said they
No
can't
one ever said
play.
that.
Yeah, but with feel and soul.
This has more than most.
Yeah,
Spirit
this
Carries
is
On
probably
is
the most
really cheesy,
successful one. Listening to this reminds me of just how much I miss Portnoy in the band. Not just his amazing performances, but the composition, the musical direction, and
I think he helped in
producing.
production too.
Yeah, and a lot of it was his ideas moving forward, taking the story of the original. Well, it was John Petrucci's story, but they helped flesh it out.
Yeah.
It's an easy album I can listen to it over and over again from start to finish, with the intro of the hypnotist and the clock ticking down. Nice way to set the mood and the panning going back and forth. I'll just jump forward a little bit. I'm going to go on and on. The album
Chapter
closed.
2.
Chapter 2.
Side B.
Movement 2.
Oh wow, hang on.
Oh,
I'm about to have a movement if you don't know.
the whole album is structured taking it from the original song. So the Dance of Eternity is like the instrumental section at the end of the first one. So it kind of expanded out. And if you know what's happening in the story, it's when like the affair is in full swing. The Dance of Eternity is actually referencing sex.
Yeah,
Because the original one is actually like a musical orgasm.
I get what you're saying, but as a listening point of view, it didn't
What kind of
really...
fucking was going on there?
Yeah.
Well, it's all out of time. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 4.
Yeah, it's fucking to the Fibonacci sequence. Go on, quick.
So the
This is
album-
reviews longer than a fucking album.
The album closer, Finally Free, would be one of the best concept album endings all time, probably equal to The Great Misconception of Me on the Crimson Idol. Using the chorus as a section for each of the characters, this brings everything together nicely. I'm glad I discovered this album when I did, because I really needed a band like this after decades of listening to just the 90s.
Guns N' Roses.
The 90s depression shit and the heavily detuned 7-string guitars where people were only playing one-finger chords. I was thinking, can anybody play their fucking instruments? So this really saved my interest in music. I gave this 100 out of 10. Everything is a standout. Now, the prop. Quickly. There's a meme going around where it's got like a bunch of kids sitting in a desk and they're all writing, doing a test, and it says Dreamfield and Mosh Pit. The funny thing about that is it's fucking true. Okay, there's my book. There's my homework.
Oh wow.
You can get a fucking lot out of this. Actually analyze each fucking song. Broken down.
We can tell.
Yeah.
On that note, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. Sisters of Mercy, Floodland, 8 tracks, 45 minutes, the second studio album in the English rock band, released November 1987 by Merciful Release, WEA and Elektra. Produced by Larry Alexander, Andrew Eldritch and Jim Steinman, 4 singles were released in This Corrosion, Dominion 959 and Lucretia, My Reflection. Despite not touring the album, it was successful, peaking at number 9 in the UK, number 101 in the US, as well as going top 40 in Germany, Sweden, Switzerland and New Zealand, and being certified gold in both the UK and Germany. This one came out after a rather chaotic time for the band, and in particular, frontman Andrew Eldritch, who was pretty much the only guy left in the band after it was done. Wow.
I can remember flicking through CDs at a local music shop in my mid-teens and coming across this album cover. And I'd never heard of the band. The cover didn't give much of an indication of what genre they were, or know that the song titles, didn't even tell if the musicians were male or female, or what, it gave nothing. So after all these years, I finally get the answers to those questions. It's not bad. It's got a little bit of the darkness and goth things from Typo Negative and 69 Eyes, but it's not as dark. Less guitars, more synths. My first thought was this was what Typo Negative would sound like if they were gay. But then you'd have My Boyfriend's Boyfriend and Christian Men, and we don't want to go into that. So it's kind of like what Bowie might have sounded like during his Berlin period if he went fully goth. But, yeah.
The second night of Shells tour.
Yeah, so it was interesting listen. I'm glad that I can say I've heard it, but I'm never going to listen to it again. I'm not binning it, but just 4 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. It's just
Just is what it is.
yeah. There you go.
This is the first time I've listened to Sisters of Mercy properly. I'd heard bits and pieces of their stuff in the past, but never a full album.
Yeah.
And it was as I was expecting, to be honest. From the beginning, Dominion, Mother Russia, there's unmistakable theatrical quality about this album. I'm listening to, and I listened to this really late one night, I remember. So, it was just very visual for me listening to it as well. The refrains are laced with really haunting vocals. Drum patterns are drenched in reverb, and the vocals feel like they've been directly lifted from a horror novel. Probably had more to do with the time of night that I was listening to it. I can't really describe how I feel about this as a piece of music, though.
Okay.
I listened to it, like I say, really, really late one night, and all I could imagine is walking through like some haunted eastern castle. And I wrote down on my phone, I woke up the next morning, and I typed in my phone, perfect Dracula music. There you go.
That works.
Yeah. And having said that, these songs are just a ton of fun to listen to. There you go. Like, try getting through that song, The Corrosion, without breaking out into that Hey Now Now chorus. It's impossible, you can't.
Yeah.
I love that. Try making it through the Flood 2 without air drumming. Another one, you can't. Slick and moody with dystopian soundtrack atmosphere is what I wrote. It joins pop smarts with like a really ethereal quality.
Yeah.
It's just really good goth music. Standout track for me was Lucretia with its almost new age bass line. With something like, that's something that bloody Duran Duran would have loved to have released.
Yeah.
How they didn't release that as a single, especially at the time that this album came out, I'd never know. That was all the rage. You could hear the influences in the Sister of Mercy as well from bands that followed him. You mentioned it before, the 69 Eyes, a favourite of mine. They came to mind, but also you could hear, especially in the vocals, things like early Cult.
Yeah,
I
got a Cult vibe out.
Yeah, I don't know who influenced who or who came first, anything like that, but you could hear a lot of Cult in there as well, which doesn't, hey, I like it because Cult's one of my favourite bands. I have to check out more of this band from what I've heard, because this is, but from what I've read, this is probably their best record. So I'm kind of a bit hesitant. If I check out the other stuff and really don't like it, do I completely turn off them or just cut my losses and keep it? But look, this thing here, I really like this record. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
I actually really enjoyed it. Standout tracks: The Corrosion, Lucretia, 1959, and Flood 2.
I feel like this is the perfect goth record in the sense that it really wants to be interesting, but it's just a bunch of makeup. I can see why they invented industrial metal after this, because it just wanted to give the goths a reason to live. Like, this isn't that bad, but it's...
You're just upset he bagged Billie Eilish.
Nah.
You were expecting that.
Yeah, exactly. But like, this is okay, but it's very one paced. Like, I couldn't watch this without just thinking of like the goth South Park kids dancing, and it's like I just couldn't take it seriously whatsoever. It sounded like a cross between Spin Me Right Round and Typo Negative. That's just...
That's fair, actually.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of fair, though.
But like the Typo Negative where Peter Steele's posing in like Play Doh and all that, like it's just weird. Like, it is what it is. 5 out of 10. I'll remain nice and neutral, and that's it.
Well, if you like the 80s, check this one out. There's a big 80s feel in this one, straight off with the snare and the fucking reverb. My God, that was a throwback. The general tones across the board, anything from the bass to the synth and the sax, it's all straight out of the mid-80s. That said, there's a fair bit of darkness about this, which is kind of cool. The lyrics and the melody make this not an overly happy thing to listen to. It's very somber, not oppressive though, which is cool. Like, the use of rhythm to counter the nature of the overall feel of it was well done. Not guitar driven, but it's not a pop album either. I wouldn't put it in the pop category. It's kind of a dark synth wave. Does that make fucking sense? I don't know. Not really in my wheelhouse per se, but the mood is the gateway to this record. If you can get into the dark gothic stuff, so if you are into things like Typo Negative and that sort of somber, deep tones and that is your gateway to this. It doesn't guarantee you'll like it, but that gives you a point of reference to get into it. Big sound, production's well done. Some really cool use of the pan to go along with that reverb, which is refreshing. Like, I like some of the 3D spacing they did. That was really cool. Bottom heavy, as you expect with this. The vocals are back a bit with the reverb to cut them through to the front. It's cool how there's not a lot of mids on this one. You don't get a lot of records that don't have the mids cut away like this one does, and it works well here. Intense lyrics, not overly pacey, but it's a brooding, kind of a different feeling album with the attitude that it's got with it. It's soaked in something I can't put my finger on. It does change gears enough, but it's probably, I get at the same time what you're talking about, it does get a bit one pacey at the same time. But for longer songs, it does keep my interest. Just don't expect anything resembling guitar work on this, because I think they might hit a couple of chords, do a couple of licks, and that's about it. Basically, got to like a dark with some lyrical substance to get into this. If you like the 80s again, that's not a gateway. Not a go-to, but it's done enough for me to be curious about this band and then to see what else they've got to offer. I don't know what it'll be like, but I'm curious, so I'll see how I go. Not something I'll put on all the time, but I will go back to this album. So there you go, 7.5 out of 10 from me. Dominion, Lucretia, My Reflection, Flood 1 and 2.
Cool. This is what I pick as a torture episode. it's an interesting album. First time I ever heard it, I remember clear as day, but I was, sort of 15 years old. I was staying at a mate's place, and we always, as you do when you're sort of sleeping over, you just have an album on the background.
Yeah.
And we were just like flat out metalheads. And he loved this band. Reasons for which could only be explained by himself. And he put this on, and the first time I'm like, I don't like, because it's like drum machine for a start, which is enough to turn me off almost any
Not a lot of
music.
organic
No.
stuff here.
But it's sort of something that stayed with me, and I kept going back to it. And to be honest with you, to this day, it is one of my favourite albums to put on and play loud.
Okay.
Because it's got such a haunting overtone, and with that drum machine just sort of landing all the time, it's different to anything else I've ever heard or anything else I listen to. It is something that's really out of left field for me and what I normally go to.
How does Di go with this one?
Di's only got into them recently,
Okay.
because I'm just sort of rediscovering and going again with it. I just love it, and this album particularly. To be honest, it was the movie, the third one of the Blood and Cornetto trilogy. It was called The World's End.
Yeah.
No, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and all the way through it, Simon Pegg's wearing a Sister's Mercy t-shirt, and then at the end, when all the bloody aliens come out, it's this Corrosion comes over the top. I think it's this Corrosion, or
I don't know.
yeah, whatever it is, and it's just that took me back to it, and I revisited it, and I just love this album. It's just one of those things that spoke to me at the time and still does.
Cool.
But it's a weird one to listen to loud. Like I said, I'm normally a guitar band kind of guy.
But the
this-
production on this is really cool for an 80s record. Like,
Yeah.
it holds up well.
It's interesting. Like I said, I don't expect this to be everyone's favourite album, but give it a crack. You might like it. It's a 10 out of 10 for me because it just speaks to me, and it was a moment in time, and I just love it. So.
Beautiful. Well, without any further ado, here's some for you to check out. Let us know what you think.
Hi, welcome to this week's Gig Guide. I'm Jodie,
I'm Andrew. Excuse the gut, we're still filming this around Christmas time.
and it's very freaking hot
It
day.
is.
First off, special thanks to Alt Cult and Screen Printing for their continued support.
Thank you very much, and also make sure you look up the events that interest you online for more information.
Starting off, from now until January 18th, Dead Sea Ruins are on their Hot Way to Live tour, playing Canberra, Sydney, Hobart, Belgrave and Melbourne.
It's a bloody hot way to live at the moment. January 14th through 19th, Obituary are on tour playing Cause of Death and other classics, hitting Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and Hobart.
And January 15th to the 18th, Life of Agony are on their first ever Oz tour, playing Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne.
Cool. January 29 to February 4, Perturbator are on tour playing Hobart, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Wellington and Auckland.
Auckland. January 30th and to February the 1st, Jeff Tate's Operation Mind Crime is on tour, playing the classic album in its entirety, hitting Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne.
Friday, January 31st, Cirrus Crown launched their new single Hardest Truth at the Workers' Club with support from Arcane Saints, Terrestrials and Formalies.
And Formalies.
Yeah.
It is definitely Formalies.
I believe so. We're going to run with it.
we're
Running gag.
Okay. It's almost like the Trenchal Thrill.
Oh, it is just about. That's our next one.
Saturday, February the 1st, 2020. Horsehead are playing a one-off special gig at the Corner Hotel to celebrate the release of their Legacy box set.
Pretty sure I might have sold out by now too, so hopefully we'll see you all there. February 4 through to 9, Artillery are on tour playing Gold Coast, Brisbane, Canberra, Melbourne, Adelaide and Sydney.
February 4th and to the 12th, Corrosion of Conformity are playing Auckland, Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney.
Get on down, they are great live. Saturday, February 8th, Fuck the Fitzroy Doom Scene finally are doing an album launch for The Future Looks Clear at the Northcote Social Club. This album's been out for a while, it's a great album too. Draft Dodgers have been announced as a support as we film this, and there's more to come, so check it out online.
Sensational. February 18th to the 23rd, Skindred are on tour with OTEP, playing Perth, Melbourne, Canberra, Brisbane and Sydney.
That'll be fun. As always, lineups and events are subject to change, to keep up to date with those that interest you online, and also hit us up online if there's something you'd like for us to plug on your behalf.
On your behalf, and a special thanks again to Alt Cult and Screen Printing for their support.
Thank you very much. Now, for a bit of fun to go with this week's episode, we're going to throw to the latest clip from Lagerstein. This is Shoey song. So, as always, rock up.
With your frock on.
30 Seconds to Mars, A Beautiful Lie. Now, this was chosen by lovely Nikki, who then chose not to be here to defend it. So, sucks to be you, I guess. Yes. We'll see what happens at the end of this one. 13 tracks, 49 minutes to the bonus edition. Second studio album from the American band, released August 2005 by Immortal, Mergent and EMI. Virgin. Produced by Josh Abraham and the band, 4 singles were released in Attack the Kill, From Yesterday, and A Beautiful Lie. The album peaked number 36 in the US, number 38 in the UK, number 20 here at home, and did relatively well all over the world, as well as being certified platinum in the US, UK, and Italy, as well as gold in South Africa, Germany, Canada, and Australia. This is the band's first album with guitarist Tomo Milicevic, and the only one with Matt Wachter on bass.
Right. Torture albums.
Mm-hmm.
Mission accomplished. I wasn't looking forward to this. I'd heard a bit of the band. I'd even seen them live, I think, at Soundwave, probably on a stage over there.
We played The Kill a couple of times on the show too at Nikki's request.
I'd never been drawn to this band, and guess what? I'm still fucking not. It's just something about this just seems so contrived.
I get
it's
that.
just,
Yeah.
it's made to make boys cry and girls moist, and it's just fucking awful to these old man ears. And I know I'm an old man, but there is nothing of interest here for me. Move along, Ben.
Wow. Okay.
Alright. This
Nikki, you
album
might have done your job.
starts with electronic noises, so I know I'm probably not going to enjoy this. Then some guitar starts, so I think maybe it's not going to be that bad. And then the first song, and then like all the songs, it turns out as it goes along, followed a big wall of sound during the choruses, and backup vocals with some tame screamo shit, and then there's quieter moments with more fucking electronic noises. It pretty much has 2 emotions all the way through, despair and anger, but for me it just comes across as boring and, like you said, contrived.
It's Jared Leto as the Joker in musical form. It's fucking awful.
It's not. It's not going to go in the bin because of what I listened to before this. That was enough to even save Limp Bizkit, but this gets 1. Just because it can't be as bad as what was before this, which I'm not giving away.
Alright.
Oh, okay. For me, this was a struggle, and proof why actors shouldn't hedge their bets and try to be singers. 13 tracks, which are essentially the same 2 tracks written over and over and over and over fucking again.
Reasons why.
Yeah. 13 tracks. Look, the only difference is how much Jared Leto's voice sucks between one version to another, really. Absolutely fucking nothing more than helpful, right? Nothing more than shitty modern rock fodder. Yeah, look, I was nice with most other reviews up to now, but no, fuck, not having this. There's nothing new here, never will be, but you know what, it'll sell thousands and millions of copies. Why? Because the consumers are just dumb shits that will accept anything that's forced down their throats. And this guy's a movie star, and he's not even the best Joker, so fuck you. Look, there are plenty of other crossover movie stars, and that's how I view this. I put this up there, fucking Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan, right?
Kelly Osbourne.
Yeah, Kelly. Myopic, utterly joyless throughout. It's hard to imagine that anyone really wants to listen to this album except for probably Jared Leto himself.
And Nikki.
Look, having said that, one track I didn't mind was a track called The Fantasy, but then Leto took a massive steaming shit on it when he tried to summon in his inner bono with that fucking wailing and shit. That wailing, mate, had every single stray dog in my neighbourhood in my front yard. Like, seriously, fuck this guy. Listening to this, I was getting angrier and angrier. I just wanted to slip my wrist and jump into a vat of salt. So as an emo album, maybe it was mission accomplished. Maybe it's better than what I thought. Maybe it actually hit the mark. No, maybe want to kill myself or join Stone Temple Pilots. I don't know.
The end result's going to be the same anyway.
Seriously, when it comes to TV stars and actors and music, right? I'd rather take bloody David Hasselhoff and Night Rocker, right? Or Freedom. No, or even Randy Macho Man Savage and Be a Man. I'd take that over this, right? Seriously, 2 out of 10, and that's only because of the part of the fantasy that I didn't complete shit over. So here you go, straight in the fucking bin. Sorry, Nikki, you're not here to defend yourself. Your fault.
So, when I listened to this, I put on the first track, and in a weird way, I didn't think it was terrible. I enjoyed it in the same way like you'd enjoy a Creed track. Like it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure in a weird way.
No.
Then we got to the second chorus.
Creed's better than this.
Yeah, you've got either a strange sense of guilt or pleasure.
Yeah. We're talking about a religious dude too. Like
Track 2, it's the same song. Track 3, it's the same song. Track 4, it gets even worse. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't get it. at all. Like
I'm surprised Nikki gets into this so hard. Like
I don't understand how and it
She's
is
never going to speak to us ever again.
it is commercially contrived in the same they've gone, okay, we've got our 3 singles, filler after that.
pretty much.
That's all they've done, and the 3 singles suck. like they're not even catchy. They're not even earworm stuff. I've forgotten how they go already. This is fucking
There's
awful.
only one song that stuck in my head from this album, actually.
It's The Kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a hook in it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Great hook.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking awful and straight in the bin.
Wow, okay.
4 bins.
4 bins. Wow.
Save this one.
So, I'll see how I go. It's modern rock with a little bit of a twist with the whole gimmick of the singer being
Modern rock, that's why it's dead.
Yeah. But
If Modern Rock is dead, this is what killed it.
It cut its wrist and jumped in a bag of salt.
One reason why.
Yeah, okay. It's very, very vocal centric, and I get the impression listening to this record that it's entirely self-indulgent around Jared Leto. It's entirely whatever. The cymbal sound on this has to be one of the worst cymbal sounds I've ever heard put to record. The overall mix is pretty shit, to be honest.
Lars Ulrich loves the cymbals.
Fuck. The whole thing's fucking washy. The bass and the guitar get some representation, but that ebbs and flows and is extremely inconsistent across the record. This is all about Jared Leto and his voice, which there are good moments and then there are some fucking bad moments in that regard. For the pedigree of the producer, you go through his record, that makes no fucking sense. This producer is really good.
Maybe the musicians he's working with are really shit.
And the fact that they recorded this around Jared Leto's acting schedule at different places will also contribute to that. So I don't know how much they've got a producer's name on this, but how much work he actually did on it, I question that. You get through the first 3 tracks and you're thinking, okay, the first 3 tracks, they're the same, but they're at least okay. After that, I'm done. The sound annoyed me, the sting goes out of it, this becomes completely fucking formulaic. There are some solid performances on here, but the writing and the production don't bring this thing to life at all. It's too self-indulgent, way too much fun, repeated lyrics without a whole lot to fucking say. Like, how many words you can say without actually saying anything at all? This is a lesson in that. Yeah. Trying to build drama for the sake of it, that didn't real payoff, and by the time you get to the Björk cover, toward the end of the record, it's fucking all over. And that cover makes no fucking sense in the scheme of this record whatsoever. It just jumps out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was that?
It makes perfect sense because it's just self-indulgent.
Well, yeah, okay. Trying to out...
They needed another song.
Yeah.
What, to out Björk? Good fucking luck with that. There's a couple of good tracks on here, but the whole album is pretty much a miss, and I'll be happy never go back to it, Nikki. Yeah. It's a shame because when you listen to things more neutrally, like it's hard to do, but you can do it. You can hear that there's, if you would get down to strip this thing back a bit, there's some potential within the core of it, but the ego is involved. It's simple and formulaic, but so if you wanted to talk about mass-produced modern rock, there's stuff you could work with in there in a commercial sense, but they just fucked it. They shit the bed. If you like commercially friendly rock with a shit mix, then cool, with a famous frontman, even better for you. But if you want something of substance, this one does. But this is fucking McDonald's music. 4 out of 10 from me.
Oh,
The Kill, Attack, and From Yesterday. Wait and see what I've been later on. Check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Weezer with Pinkerton. This is one of Nick's choices. 10 tracks for 34 minutes. The second studio album of the American band, released September 1996 by DGC. Self-produced by the band. 3 singles were released in El Scorcho, The Good Life, and Pink Triangle. The album was a bit of a mixed bag for the band overall, peaking number 19 in the US, number 43 in the UK, number 38 here in Australia. And while it wasn't an immediate success, it went on to have a cult following and has achieved platinum status in 2016. This was the band's final release with Matt Sharp on bass. Go for it.
I like Weezer, oddly enough, and always have.
Okay.
They're really sort of quirky rock, and I sort of always landed them somewhere between the Pixies, Nirvana, and Blink-182. There's this weird... There's a weirdness going on that's still commercially viable and interesting, and I really like them. And this, I think, is a really cool album that you'll either get or you won't.
Or you won't.
I get it and I like it, but I'm tipping, and I don't want to preempt anything, Dave will hate it. But I could be wrong. Let's just wait and see. They're never going to win the awards for their musicianship or for vocal ability or anything like that, but they're very, very clever songwriters. They write something catchy, and there's always a really enjoyable undertone going on under every song that I really, really like. And I think this is one of their best albums, if not their best. I gave it 8 out of 10. I thought it was very cool. Okay. Highlights will Get You and The Good Life.
Okay. Well, I actually loved it. Thank you very much.
Did you?
No, fuck.
Nah.
I was about to say, hang on.
It was really fucking hard to listen to. There's elements of pop punk, there's elements of grunge, there's terrible fucking vocals. Jesus Christ, it makes me sound good.
No one's arguing that part.
It doesn't know what it wants to be, and as a listener, I can't follow the song structure. Because at one point it sounds like the songs are finishing, and then they start up again. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's almost like it wants to be good at everything, and it sucks at everything instead. Every song sounds the fucking same. It makes me actually want to listen to Rush. I'm putting it in the bin just for being boring.
Oh, there you go.
You got a Dream Theater shirt on and you couldn't follow the song structure.
This Dream Theater makes sense.
It's only 3 chords, mate.
It's fucking place.
Alright, Weezer. It's peak 90s, by which it means it tries to be interesting, but really it just remade Surfer Rosa by the Pixies.
That's a bit cool, I reckon.
I actually really like it though.
Surfer Rosa was a fucking good album. So
I love the Pixies.
Yeah.
Look, again, we've discussed this again. It's 90s alternative rock. It's a bit quirky and a bit weird and a bit off-center and a little bit out of tune and a little bit all of that. But again, you're either going to love it or you hate it. And personally, I love it. You know, songs like El Scorcho kind of entered the cultural zeitgeist, and everyone kind of knows it from somewhere. Mm-hmm. But this is an album I think that you should check out because the rest of the album is actually pretty good. And again, if you like alternative rock, you might like this. Even if you like some of the later indie rock stuff, like from the Libertines and whatnot, then you definitely check this out because this is that kind of thing. If you're a punk fan, you should probably check this out.
Yeah,
because again,
that makes sense.
It's a little bit poppier than a traditional punk band, but they've got that kind of simple 3-chord songwriting, just decent melodies, and they do it very well. 8.5 out of 10.
Beautiful. All right. Oh. Nick, last year you didn't get the concept of the Torture album, did you?
No.
Fucking nailed it this year.
It's actually a compliment, but I'll take it.
Fuck. There was this era post-Nirvana where everything in sight was more like, if the more painfully average you were, the better.
Yeah.
This album is a fucking poster child for that fucking shit.
Yep.
This is a meandering exercise in self-pity that makes me want to cut harder than any emo phase could.
Wow.
It's sloppy, it's intentionally so, but that doesn't make this good. Rough as guts all around. This is demo stuff. And instead of scrapping the rock opera that was originally planned, they should have scrapped this and done that instead.
Great.
I know a lot of people out there love this band. The local scene, there's so many people that love this band. Fuck off. This is all about an artist wanking into his own tears about how painful it is to be successful, and I don't get it at all. This whole thing is the sort of stuff that should be reserved for those stand-up poetry nights that were done at the Beavis and Butthead show. That's where this belongs, okay? If you're into the whole tortured artist thing, this is for you. If not, fucking stay well clear. There was only one song on this, Get You, and because that was 1 track out of 10, I gave it a 1 out of 10.
I don't think I've ever drawn that out of Andrew ever in my life. That's fucking fantastic. I love that. There you go. All right, so the reason I picked this album is because I knew
You knew
the
it
man...
piss us off.
Yeah, I knew it would piss off this man, did not know how to piss off that man, so I got double buck for my money. Fucking wrecked. All right. For me, very underrated band, and it's one of those... It's one of those albums I wanted to introduce to people on the panel, which I thought would never hear it. I knew you'd hate it. I'm fucking wrapped that you hate it.
I'm glad you feel that way.
That's the whole idea.
But it is. It's one of my all-time favourite albums. How do I review one of my all-time favourite albums to a crowd of people that probably haven't heard it before? Just listen to it.
It's one of those ones you should make up your own mind about. Don't listen to one person's opinion.
I'll start by preempting the album before that. So they released an album called The Blue Album. That had the Sweater song and all this kind of stuff. Buddy Holly was on it. That was a power pop masterpiece. Yeah. Right? Completely different from what this is. So people that really liked that album were expecting... There were massive expectations on this because they were a massive band at that time. People that were expecting something like that from Weezer, they copped a complete U-turn. So everything that they liked about that album, they'd hate about this. So what happened here is that Rivers Cuomo, who's the main guy out there, he was going through depression. He didn't like the whole fame thing and everything like that. He signed up at Harvard. He was writing his album in between school. So this whole thing is really depressive.
But he hates this album now.
Huh?
He hates
does.
this album
He hates
now.
it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he's got around to it now. But
Okay.
back for that 20 years in between, no, he distanced himself from this as far as he possibly could,
Yeah.
which is weird because then everyone started liking it. He goes, it's not bad. So anyway,
Typical.
so yeah, they did a full 180 U-turn, right? And look, when it first came out, I didn't really like it. You know, it took me a while to get into it.
Okay.
But I love it now. So he sought to create a darker, more abrasive sound while writing, from a more direct personal perspective. In other words, that's always resonated with someone like me. The opening song, "Tired of Sex," it's a drowned out bass, fuzz guitar. It's clear that this is not the same Weezer that sung Buddy Holly and all this kind of stuff, right? Musically, this is relatively straightforward, okay? But the stories that they tell, the angst they convey and everything like that, that's what I love. It's written from the heart. Whether you really like the musicianship or the songs, it's come from a pretty deep place,
No,
right?
I buy that he believes it. I just don't buy into it personally.
Yeah, that's understandable. But Cromo, he doesn't show his outstanding musicianship. Now, people say that, it's Weezer, whatever. This guy's a classically trained guitarist. He went to school with John Petrucci. He went to the Guitar Institute. He's gone to Harvard. He's classically trained. This guy's a shredder. The next album's called Van Weezer, right? And it's all 80s metal and stuff all over the place. So check that out when that comes out. But Across the Sea is a good track for me. It's deceptively complex and it showcases classical influences. The band's got a quirky sense of humour which they've kind of kept in here. But across the whole thing, for me, it was just a really honest record, and it's something completely different that I thought you guys wouldn't have heard before.
I've never listened to that.
Instrumentally speaking, it isn't too complex, but make no mistake, Como can shred. You could check out his stuff on YouTube. No, you're not going to do it?
No, it's just...
He's better than Petrucci.
I'm always thought that. I don't have enough time in my life, man.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but you'll go listen to Fucking Up Bulgarian.
How can you not like that album?
Come on, one thing at a time.
Anyway, lyrically,
next fucking...
look, I just really like it because it's come from a dark place. They could have capitalised on the success of what they did before, but they didn't. They decided to take a complete U-turn. They haven't done anything like this since. People say for good reason, some of them.
I'd be one of those.
Yeah, you'd be one of them. He'd be the second one. But I enjoyed it. It's one of those albums that you got to make up your own mind about, listen to it.
That's true.
But for me, it's probably not so much about the musicianship content on here. It's just from where it's come and at the time. It's one of my favourite albums. I'll still give it 10 out of 10.
Beautiful. Nice. That's the point. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think. My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, 14 tracks, 51 minutes, the third studio album of the American band, released October 2006 via Reprise, produced by Rob Cavallo and the band. 4 singles were released, and Welcome to the Black Parade, Famous Last Words, I Don't Love You, and Teenagers. The album was wildly successful, peaking number 2 in the US and UK, number 3 in Australia, going top 50 in a host of countries worldwide, and going 3 times platinum in the US, 2 times platinum in the UK, platinum in New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, Canada, and Australia. It was gold in Argentina, Chile, Mexico. This album will be the one and only with Bob Bryant on drums as a rock opera centering around the character of the patient, and it's about his passage out of life and the memories he has of it. This is my choice, obviously, so I'll go last. Brendan.
Another band that's never really grabbed me. I've seen them live. That didn't grab me either. This made for an interesting listen because it started really well. I think it bust out of the gate, and I actually went, "Hang on, maybe I've been missing something all this time." No. The boy band vocals are just fucking... He can't sing for shit, this guy.
Fuck off.
He can't sing for shit. I can fart with more melody than this guy. It's like Robbie Williams meets Linkin Park, but shit. If that's even possible. The longer it went, the worse it got. And by the end of it, I wasn't even sure I was supposed to be taken seriously. It felt like a comedy album. It was that awful. It can sit right next to 30 Seconds to Mars in the fucking bin.
Oh, yes, that's one. Beautiful.
Awful.
I got one of you. Okay.
I'm going to read out a list. It might take a while, but I'm reading a fucking list. Here we go. Little Richards, Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, The Beatles, The Rolling Stones, The Kinks, MC5, The Who, The Doors, Pink Floyd, Cream, Jimi Hendrix Experience, Creedence Clearwater Revival, T-Rex, David Bowie, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Rush, King Crimson, Thin Lizzy, Aerosmith, Queen, Alice Cooper, AC/DC, Kiss, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Def Leppard, Ozzy Osbourne, Wasp, Van Halen, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Poison, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, Three Doors Down, Linkin Park, The Darkness, Steel Panther, and Velvet Revolver. Almost 60 years of rock and roll, and this is what it's been fucking diluted to. Jesus Christ, I hate to say it, but the fucking Darkness were right with their song. Rock and roll deserves to die. At least it does if this is what the fucking future holds. Oh, fuck. Did you breathe it all through that?
No, it was good, mate. Well done.
I didn't even rehearse that.
You got the album.
You got a budding rap career on you.
The only bad thing is I had to read it. If I could memorize that shit, that would have been impressive. The album starts with the grand scope of many concept albums through history, but it's right by the fucking numbers, man. It's like they're trying to be taken seriously by creating something grand, but they're just not a good fucking band to do it. They're like a pop-punk band with delusions of grandeur. Even the guitar solos on here aren't enough to grab my interest. I do remember when this band broke through, and they were in every magazine, and I got a Guitar World magazine at home. And I remember checking out the transcription, I was like, this is shit, I didn't even have to listen to it. But I gave it a listen. I didn't remember a thing about it. When they were announced for download, I went back and checked out the big fucking song for it. It's like, no, this is fucked. And the vocals are horrible. And the worst thing about that is the lyrics are filled with this self-indulgent misery bullshit that so many people like to fucking cry about. Bin.
There you
Some
go.
of that teenager song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's a great song.
All right.
Cowbell is fucking amazing in that, man.
Said no one ever.
Said me.
Okay. Black Parade is like a really bad movie. It's one of those where it's so bad that you can't help but sit through it. Just see how bad it can actually get. Supposedly it's about a cancer patient, right? But the music is too far over the top for the sake of being over the top, which is really this album's biggest downfall. It's a prime example of a band self-deluded expectations exceeding their musical abilities.
Did this band kill the Cation?
This record almost sounds like the band listened to American Idiot and said, "Hey, we want that." But
shit.
No, we want what Green Day, we want what Green Day did on American Idiot, but without any of the honesty, the sentiment. Oh, and fuck, we need uniforms. So fuck it. Oh shit. So long as the band isn't taking them sort of seriously, as their band suggests, it's an okay pop record, and that's all I'm going to give it. It's an okay pop record. Any band trying to get their music taken seriously will not do so with such a fucking obvious Broadway fucking thing in the background now. I couldn't help but listen to this and chuckling every so often in 51 minutes saying, fuck, I've heard that somewhere before. Because they've ripped off movie themes and TV themes, everything like that. Every single riff on this, I've heard somewhere before without listening to this piece of shit. Look, I almost felt bad for laughing. Half the time I almost felt bad for laughing because I remember this was about a cancer patient or something, right? But I highly doubt the band actually thought that far ahead. Actually, I don't think they thought fucking much at all. If the cancer thing was their idea, they did a hell of a job of turning an incredibly serious disease into a complete joke. Look, it wasn't all bad. The first 3 or 4 songs may be passable, but as soon as I heard that title track, I know, fuck this. Right? I realised why you guys are so fucking depressed all the time, because if this is the best that your genre's got to offer, fuck, I'd be slinging my wrist as well. Right? Is this a good album? Not really. I'll doubt I'll listen to it ever again. Best thing about My Chemical Romance, they got announced as the headliners for download, which automatically means that I'm going to beat the traffic home. That's fucking great. Thanks for that. Gave it 4 out of 10. The End, Dead, This Is How I Disappear, which I fucking wish I did, and The Sharpest Lives. Fucking, it's in the bin. Oh shit. They go 3
for 3.
Oh.
Yes. Tim, bring it home.
Yeah, no, it's going in there.
Fuck yes! Yes! 2 years in a row, fuck you guys over. This is great.
This is the album that made emo cool, and that's why it's going in. This is fucking awful. I don't know. The idea of a pop-punk band doing an orchestra is like the Kiss Symphony. Like, the concept itself is just mind-boggling. It's like the George Bush Presidential Library. Like, what the fuck? And yeah, I know why you put this on here, because of the download thing. But, like, I'm gonna go watch the Deftones. Like, I don't care. Like... Yeah, this is bad. This is very bad. Not good.
I find it hard to believe that you genuinely like
I
this.
fucking love this album.
Let's find out.
This album is so shit that fucking even Joe Rogan has distanced himself from this guy being his cousin. You hear about that? A couple of weeks ago, he goes, I just found out Joe Rogan's my cousin. Never met him. No, fuck it. Don't want to meet him.
Man, I saw
That's how
Jared.
shitty he is. Joe Rogan doesn't want anything to do with you, and you're fucking related.
I saw Jared Way at the last Soundwave.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh, yeah, he did a solo thing.
Yeah, he did a solo band, and like you could tell he was going to be a complete wanker because all the people playing with him were using like these boutique instruments, right?
Mhm.
And even all the My Chemical Romance fans at the front by the end were like, and just walked off.
He
Like,
was preaching between songs.
It was fucking awful, man.
He looks like a middle-aged Joffrey from
He got schooled by he got one OK Rock or a pop punk band from Japan played just before him and absolutely smoked him.
Yeah.
All over the place, and this is just fucking awful.
That's why he smoked roadies off stage. That's right.
Off you go. Defend yourself,
Oh,
Sunshine.
fuck yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, the album after this is shit, and the album before this is shit. This album, no.
So is this.
No, I love this album.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah. Even a broken clock twice a day, that kind of shit. Now, the scope of this was what hooked me. I loved how the story was told on this because it's not a structured concept per se as opposed to a bunch of ideas around a theme. I thought the lyrics were well done. I liked the writing. I liked the performances. I thought it was really well composed. It was bombastic enough to be interesting. I loved the energy on it. The performances were great. I loved all that stuff about it. No, I think the deeper you listen to this one too, because there's a lot of ear candy in the layering, the way things are written, the structure. You listen to this, there's whole lots of stuff going on in there, and you listen to this on repeat, and it's rewarding as all fuck. I really enjoyed it. And I thought they knew how to pull back things to then deliver an impact. You guys obviously didn't get it, and I'm loving the fact that I got 4 bins out of this. I think every performance is great. I think there's emotional conviction in the vocal as well. I think the lyrics and that emotional conviction tell the story in the songs. The production was well done. I didn't think it was overblown. I thought it was pretty well done. They didn't go to the point. They almost went to the tipping point of the clipping and that, but they didn't get there. It was just dialed back enough. It was, again, the layering was great. There was great harmonies on here. It's not over polished. They kept just enough grit in it as well. And I liked how piano and other things like the effects on the vocals at just little moments in time really brought accents to the songs as they were performed. I loved how you get into it and there's like these little vocal bits that are panned hard left and right that just sort of come in. It's like fucking amazing. It's like, I love this shit. You guys are sitting there going, what the fuck is he on?
I might just go.
Yeah.
It's got about as much conviction as a fucking OJ troll.
Oh, this is God. I am loving the fact that everyone hates this record. I think it's fantastic. I thought the album flow was good, time flies by, and I happily put this on repeat spins. If you are a fan of bands like Queen, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, then I think this should have... Yeah.
Well, we are fans of those bands, and guess what?
No.
And I am too, and it worked for me. So.
No, if you're a fan of Simple Plan, maybe.
Yeah, fuck. This shit's
Simple Plan, Sum 41, and some other shit house.
If you like the new Blink-182 album, it's right up your alley.
If you like 30 Seconds to Mars, definitely go check it out.
Anyway, I love this record. I think it's fantastic, despite what anyone else thinks of it. I don't think there's a dud track. I'll give it a special nod to Teenage, because that was the song that hooked me onto this album to begin with, and after that I went back and dug it up. 10 out of 10. Teenagers, famous last words, Mama, Cancer, This Is How I Disappear, and I Don't Love You, and I love the little bonus track Bleed at the very end as well. Check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. Well, that's it for this week's Torture episode. We're back again in a fortnight to do more of the same to each other and to you out there. Next week is our Horsehead takeover, though, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that a lot more than you're enjoying what we're giving to you in this month. January is always a slow month for releases, and so we always have to film these ones in advance through December as well, and so this is why we sit down, do these ones that are a lot of fun for us. Especially when we piss each other off like we have tonight. It's been grand. Details are at the bottom of the screen as always. Please make sure you follow all of our social media channels. Subscribe to all the extra YouTube content as well, because we will do better reviews what you're getting out of these episodes on
These are the best.
And yeah, check out all of our stuff online as always. Yeah, like I said, end of the month is our top 10s as well, so don't forget about that. End of the month, January 2020, top 10s of 2019. Without any further ado, it's time to go to our favourite part of the week, and it's the first spin for the year. So what have you got for us?
This one was easy. Andrew can go for suggesting that Queen and David Bowie fans would like My Chemical Romance. Fuck me. Any integrity you had is now in here.
Cool.
Nicky, you're going in the bin. You're making me listen to that shit 30 Seconds to Mars and not showing up to defend it.
Good call.
All right. I'm going to get semi-serious here. So lately I've been writing a whole heap of songs, getting back into music and everything like that. I've also started relearning a whole heap of guitar. One thing that's really got me in the guitar community is all those fake guitar videos that you see around the place. I don't know if you've been following this. Brendan's a guitar player as well. People that show complete virtuosity. And what it is, it's really them just slowed down, sped up. What that does, not so much for me because I'm an old fuck, but for the young kids that are trying to learn, they're trying to attain a level of virtuosity that is impossible. Yeah. You can just look at it, and there's people have been called out on social media all around it. I'm not going to name names here, but if you want, hit up the page. I'll give you some links and everything like that. For example, the human hand doesn't glitch when it moves from position to position, everything like that. Just unnecessary expectations. I don't know what the end game is here. Leon Todd from Ragdoll, good friend of ours in the show, he's one of first brought to my attention. I don't get it. I don't get why people do it. It's just, like I say, complete unrealistic expectations.
That's pointless.
And if anything, it's going to make a kid that's trying to learn
give up.
Yeah, give up. So just get in the bin.
Yep, fair enough.
It's an auto-tune generation, my friend.
Yeah. Let me just pull My Chemical Romance from out of here.
So you put it back in there again?
Yeah. Local bands who complain about the sound on stage unnecessarily. Because the reality is, everywhere sounds shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth. And I mean, like, I've seen bands play with practice amps on stage, and then once they start playing, because they're playing well, you don't notice it. It sounds fine from the front of the house. Again, don't get me wrong, I get that, you want to be able to hear at least a little bit of everybody, but for the most part, it's never going to be perfect. It's all rock and roll, just plug in and go for it. No one's going to notice.
Agreed. It works in a rehearsal room, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Mine is very, very simple, and that is that as we film this, which is the end of November 2019, there's been a spate of things like, it's become a thing lately where your Loudwire, your Blabbermouth, they'll talk about how so-and-so, like I think it was Gary Hall from Exodus, gave some comedian a pass for wearing a fucking t-shirt. It's like, what the fuck? How is that even news?
Yeah.
Just the degradation, like, I know that the general news cycle is shit, but at least can we have rock and metal stories of substance? Like, you can't find anything better to do than work out that the guy from Exodus likes another guy wearing his t-shirt, because it's fucking advertising anyway, you bunch of dropkicks. Don't trivialise and popularise just such stupid shit. Yeah. You've got a platform. Do something smart with it, you fucking idiots.
Like what you do.
Pot, meat, kettle. Yeah. Should I put us in the bin while I'm at it?
Yeah, why not?
But the thing is, we know what we are.
Exactly.
That's the bit. We know exactly what we are, and we completely
high quality journalism.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, it's high quality. It's high quality, a lot of other shit out there. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll have Horsehead next week, another Torture episode the week after that, then our top 10s in the month. Until then, I'm Andrew.
I'm Tim.
I'm Nick.
I'm Dave.
I'm Brendan.
As always,
Drink up.
Rock on.
Socks off.
Cock out.
thank you so much for watching our latest episode. Make sure you follow and subscribe to all of our social media channels if you like what you see and you want to stay up to date with what we're doing here at THRS. Before we roll into the bloopers, which are right around the corner, I just want to say a very quick thank you to our Patreon supporters, Craig S, Tim C, Greg B, Kaz B, Ethan M Orange, Andrew M, and Tony S. Thank you so much for your support. Now enjoy the outtakes.
Do that. This is the Wiggles with fruit salad.
Fucking
Yummy
yes!
Yes!
Do I find the Slipknot mashup?
Yes.
I just thought that would be fun.
Okay, there's my book. There's my homework.
Oh, wow.
You can get a fucking lot out of this. Actually analyse each fucking song. Broken down.
We can tell. Yeah. On that note, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think.
I love our succinct reviews. This is good. Fucking hell.
That's my square.
Wow.
That was my longest review, by the way. So mine.
That was nuts. Sisters of Mercy now. This is going to be...
Billie Eilish to Dream Theater to
This is a mercy.
Okay.
This is going to be fun. All right. 30 Seconds to Mars, A Beautiful Lie. This was chosen for our pleasure by Nikki, who then chose to not be here. So thank you very much for that, Nikki. I might have to start this again because my fucking notes just are completely having a conniption tonight. I don't know what the fuck the go is. Okay.
You know what, but maybe...
If you like commercial rock with a shit mix, sort of people like this, I like that.
You know what, but I reckon...
This really talks to me.
Maybe Jared Leto used this... Maybe he's such a fucking great method actor that he used this to get into space or something that's so fucking mentally deranged and fucked.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's...
Weezer.
Weezer.